Hello, I'm Phil Liggett and welcome to Florianópolis, Brazil, an island only 300 miles south of Rio, whose majestic natural beauty is only outdone by the beauty of its female population. With its festive atmosphere and raw natural appeal, it's the ideal setting now for the 2002 Ironman Brazil. And wallowing in the festive life of this magical place is Greg Welsh.
Yeah, doing it real tough, Phil, but thanks for asking, mate. Well, Ironman is truly the international event. We have athletes who represent over 40 countries that travel the world doing Ironman races, all hoping to qualify for the Ironman Championship come mid-October in Kona, Hawaii. This year we've already had races in the mountainous regions of New Zealand to the sandy beaches of Australia. But this weekend, truly international. We have two races, one in the Canary Islands in Lanzarote and the other right here in Florianópolis, or as the locals say, Floripa. This weekend, absolutely beautiful weather right now, but the forecast is even better.
And morning has arrived, and a gorgeous one it is that has greeted the 750 plus athletes that have travelled here to compete. Among them, a very strong professional group. Like top Hawaii contender Lothar, leader of Germany. And last year's Ironman Brazil champion EDUARDO STURLA from Argentina. And let's not forget last year's runner-up Faris Sultan from Germany. Here too, Spencer Smith, who won his first Ironman competition after a poor performance in Oahu.
Hawaii didn't go as planned, but then I knew I had some good legs and good form. I wanted to go to Florida, and I got the win. It was great for morale, of course, when you get your first Ironman win. Hopefully it's like a new chapter in the book. You know, I'm always doing short stuff and winning a lot of short distance races, but when you get your first Ironman win, it feels obviously different. But it's certainly good for morale and sets me up for hopefully some more wins.
Well, Spencer will have to contend with another recent Ironman champion, Rhodesy from New Zealand, won Ironman Malaysia 4 months ago. Local is Oscar GALINDEZ of Rio de Janeiro. 38-year-old racecourse designer and multiple Ironman top 10 finisher Kenny GLAH will test both his creation and stamina, while on the women's side, Brazilian favourite Fernanda Keller, she came in second here a year ago. Now she wants to go one place higher. And there's Australian Belinda Holleran. And of course Germany's KATJA. They were here last year, finishing 6th and 7th. Tara Lee Marshall of New Zealand able to compete in Ironman New Zealand due to an injury. This will be the first race in over 6 months, while another European star is Nicole, wife of Lothar, family outing for them. The technical preparations have been made. There's almost all mental and minds here to focus on the task at hand. To tell us more about sleepless nights, let's go back to Greg Welsh.
Another gorgeous morning down here in Florianópolis, as half the island are just arriving home for the nightclubs. These athletes have been down here for over 2 hours anticipating the race start, and Phil, I was one that got some sleep last night. In the transition area this morning, it was filled with mixed emotions. For some, the tension was really built on their faces. For others, their bubbles were about to burst with adrenaline. The big news this morning, wetsuits will be worn for the age groupers and the professionals, but one of our pro female athletes, Belinda Holleran from Australia, has elected not to wear a wetsuit. We'll see how she goes. The forecast is for a beautiful day, 24 degrees Celsius, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and the winds will be light from the northeast. We are anticipating the swim start any moment. Back to you, Phil.
Thanks, Greg. And just in time, the horn is about to go, and it'll then be an impressive run into the water and the start of the professional race. They're off. The pros have a sprint into the water with Faris Sultan sprinting the fastest as he grabs the lead at the start of the 2.4-mile swim. After 10 minutes, the age groupers have their go, and over 700 of them now, aged from 18 to 71, crash into the surf with dreams of qualifying for the World Championship in Hawaii. Pros and age groupers alike now head towards the rising sun and the first buoy. And at the first buoy, it is Faris Al Sultan in the lead, with Spencer Smith in second. And not too far behind in third, it's Alexander Gigioli of Brazil. Over 750 other athletes are pursuing both the leaders and their own goals of a personal best finish or to just beat the 17-hour cutoff, just for the right to say, I am an Ironman. Welcome back to the island of Florianópolis and the 2002 Ironman Brazil. The lead positions have stayed the same. However, the distance between them has widened. Faris Al Sultan has increased his lead over the field, but not over Spencer Smith, who is still swimming in his wake. Alexander Gigioli is in third. Kiwi Brian Rhodes is maintaining fourth. Alexander Mazin, Lothar leader, Oscar GALINDEZ and RAYNARD TISSINK are just over 3 minutes back. Among the women, Belinda Holleran's decision to not wear a wetsuit seems to have paid off. She has over a 3-minute lead here. As the first swimmers now approach the beach, it's Faris Al Sultan who has made the lead throughout the swim. For the second year in a row, he has the best swim time. And this year, his time is 45 minutes and 19 seconds. His swimming companion, Spencer Smith, is next out of the water. And then comes Gigioli, the Brazilian. He's now in third place. You know, sometimes just getting your wetsuit off is a major hurdle here. Brian Rhodes is out of the water now, just a few minutes behind the leaders. Alexander Manzan is fifth to leave the water. But he's hotly pursued by STURLA. Behind him comes TISSINK, then GALINDEZ, leader, and finally at the back, GLAH. After the swim, the standings are: Faris Al Sultan of Germany is in the lead. Spencer Smith is second, just seconds behind, followed by Alexander Gigioli of Brazil. Manzan completes the top 5. Gigioli grabs his bike here and heads out now from transition. Just behind him is Brian Rhodes, the Kiwi. Al Sultan is pursued by Spencer Smith, and together they've settled in for the 112-mile bike ride. Back at the water, Belinda Halloran, the lead woman, exits. She's a swim specialist without a wetsuit here, and she's turned in an impressive swim time of 52 minutes and 18 seconds. While Lothar leader navigates the swim to bike transition almost effortlessly. TISSINK of South Africa, STURLA of Argentina, Kenny GLAH of the US and Renato DANTAS de Lucas of Brazil are right behind him. Oscar GALINDEZ passes easily through transition, while Greg Welsh breaks down the finer points of the changeover.
Transitions are the fourth leg in triathlon other than the swim, bike, run. The athlete comes out of the water, they rip their wetsuit down, then they go into the tents. Some of the athletes choose to put their shoes on the bike, some of the athletes choose not to. After they take their bike out of the rack, they get on their bike and then they're out onto the bike course.
Thanks, Greg. Well, on the women's side, Nicole leader has fallen over 3.5 minutes behind Halloran. 7 seconds behind Nicole is Colombian Carmenza Morales. Belinda heads onto the bike course with a comfortable lead over Rita Correa, who is out of the water in 4th place. Fernanda Keller has her work cut out for her. The Brazilian beauty is in 5th place. Out on the bike course for the men, Spencer Smith has pedalled his way into the lead. He's a strong ex-professional bike rider. And as a result, Sultan can't hold on and has dropped back over a minute behind here. Last year's champion, Eduardo STURLA, has shifted into the big gears and has pushed to within 2 minutes of Smith, with Lothar leader pressing from behind. International trio RAYNARD TISSINK, Oscar GALINDEZ and Kenny GLAH are also playing catch-up. With only one woman to catch, Nicole leader rushes now to the bike to chase Belinda Halloran. Rita Correa blazes through transition in search of her bike, while a chase pack is heading for the change tent. KATJA grabs her bike, as Fernanda Keller calmly but confidently moves through transition. The Australian Belinda Halloran, with a swim time of 52.18, holds a 3-minute-plus lead over Germany's Nicole leader and Colombian Carmenza Morales. Brazil's Rita Correa and Chile's Paula Salazar are 4th and 5th. The 2002 Ironman Brazil is brought to you by Hawaii, the islands of Aloha, and by the Sports Authority. Get out and play. Spencer Smith is enjoying his lead over swim champion Faris Sultan. While hard-charging Argentinian Eduardo STURLA is eager now to change his view. Oscar GALINDEZ has in fact changed his already and now sits in 4th and has his sights set further up the road. German Lothar leader settled into 5th, but looks back now to keep an eye on RAYNARD TISSINK of South Africa. Having raced here last year, leader Belinda Cheney, now Halloran, talks about the benefits gained then.
I think it's great to get familiar with the course, and particularly when you get to the level where you want to win. I mean, every time I step out to race, you race to win, and having the advantage of knowing the course, knowing the gearing, when to accelerate, when to ease back, it all assists in the overall race plan.
Well, her plan is working so far. Nicole leader hasn't been able to make a dent in Belinda's lead. Colombian Carmenza Morales got out of the water just 8 seconds behind Nicole, and she's been stalking her ever since. Hard-pedaling 34-year-old KATJA just can't seem to settle in at all and find her bike rhythm. She's passed by Barbara Buenajora, who's pushing hard now to get up front. Fernanda Keller has the experience to know she has to race her way, not too hard, too soon. Still holding the lead for the men is Spencer Smith. He tells us now why he's here in Brazil.
Brazil, I had a look at it and it looked good for my strengths. It's a good course, it's a strongman's course. It's not too hilly, but it's enough to test the legs, and it just fell at the right time of year.
It certainly did. The conditions are ideal, and he's holding his lead over Faris Al Sultan. Things are going not so well over last year's champion, Eduardo STURLA. He's closing in. Brazilian Oscar GALINDEZ is right there too. The German Lothar leader, and not far away from him, RAYNARD TISSINK, just seconds behind. After taking the lead in the swim, Belinda Holleran has been extending it now on the bike. Things are going good for her. Unknown at Ironman distance, short course specialist Carmenza Morales of Colombia has moved into second at the expense of Nicole leader of Germany. While KATJA knows her competition and recognizes what has to be done.
I think I'm very good on the bike, and I think I'm much better on the run this year. So I try to make up time on the bike and try not to lose as much on the run, because like Nicole, she's stronger on the run. There's no doubt. She ran a 3:01 marathon in Germany. So I'm trying to do my best on the bike.
Well, KATJA's favourite discipline is starting to show well. She's beginning to find the rhythm and has taken back her position now ahead of Barbara Buenajora. Barbara is looking like she's emptied her tank too early and has quickly fallen off her early pace. All of a sudden, 112 miles seems a very long way indeed. Welcome back to the romantic island of Florianópolis and the 2002 Ironman Brazil. I'm Phil Liggett. Spencer Smith has managed to hold his lead, but last year's champion Eduardo STURLA and Oscar GALINDEZ have been chipping away at the gap. German Lothar leader and the South African RAYNARD TISSINK are holding the 4th and 5th positions. Once the leader, Faris Al Sultan, well, he's now dropped back to 6th. And GLAH, alongside ROLF LAUTENBACHER, they're holding positions behind Faris. Eduardo STURLA has seen enough of Spencer's backside and decides here to change his view and move into the lead. While Oscar GALINDEZ, well, he waits for his moment to strike. For the women, Belinda Holleran was riding smoothly until she started to have mechanical problems. A faulty seat post is slowing her pace. Behind, Katja Myers picked up hers and makes her way now into second place. Carmenza Morales is still holding off the German Nicole leader. Racing on home ground, Fernanda Keller is up for the thrill of the hunt and wants a victory on Brazilian turf.
I'm going to do all that I have to become one of the first persons to finish this race, you know. I don't know about the competition because every time you go to a race, there's another girl training very hard and you can't tell about other people. So it's going to be a fight to be who is going to be the winner.
And Fernanda is known for putting up a strong fight. Eduardo STURLA is pushing the pace. He's trying now to knock out his competition early on, but Spencer Smith and behind him Oscar GALINDEZ are not going out easily. Lothar leader and RAYNARD TISSINK, well, they're still holding their 3 minutes deficit. Eduardo STURLA is last year's champion, and he tells us about his tactics and his chances now.
The tactic of my race is do the best that I can, and it's the same in all the races that I start. I think that I can win again. I'm sure that I can.
A confident man indeed, but several miles lay ahead on the bike course. And then, of course, there's a marathon, 26.2 miles. Still having problems with her seat post, Belinda Holleran lost a big lead and asks now for a little help from the new leader, Katja Myers. Without vital support from her saddle, Belinda has lost the 8-minute lead she once held over Katja. Just a small tool would answer her prayers. And now, without any technical support, she momentarily stops and is left asking for assistance from anyone passing by. It's all so heartbreaking. Carmenza Morales and Nicole leader are pressing to get ahead. Belinda knows she must get on her bike quickly in order to have any chance at all. The 1999 Ironman Florida champion Katja Myers has settled into a comfortable lead now, while Belinda Holleran can't go on with a broken seat and looks again for help. The clock is ticking.
Ela está pedindo suporte técnico há 40 minutos e não consegue.
Why, everyone asks, does it only happen in competition and never in training? She is distraught to watch her position fall dramatically and can do nothing about it. It's the cruel face of the Ironman which makes friends with no one. Welcome back to Florianópolis and the 2002 Ironman Brazil. Eduardo STURLA is holding first place and thinking now about another possible victory. GALINDEZ has moved into second place to keep an eye on last year's champion. While Spencer Smith seems very content to watch from third place. With most of the bike race done, the lead men hit the final turnaround and make way towards the bike-to-run transition. And that's where Greg Welsh is standing by.
This is the calm before the storm. It may be quiet in here right now, but the athletes are out there. They only have 15 more miles to ride. Now they're thinking about getting in that last-minute nutrition, eating up what's on their bike before they stream into this transition area here, the bike to run. They'll grab their bag as they run through the transition area. In these bags contain the running shoes, some running clothes, maybe a hat and some other nutrition. They'll slap on some sunscreen and then they'll head out onto the 42.2 kilometre run, the 26-mile marathon, onto the finish line.
Thanks very much, Greg. Well, KATJA is approximately 30 miles out from that, but is slowly building on her lead. Carmenza Morales in second has a slim lead over Nicole, who seems unconcerned by her current position. Here's her strategy.
I try to find my rhythm on the bike and looking forward to the run because this is my best part, and try, even if I lose a little bit on the bike, try to focus then on the run, and I know I can catch up to them.
Well, she certainly can, but so too can fourth place Fernanda Keller. But the nightmare continues for poor Belinda Halloran. She's been stuck roadside, unable to move until an age group athlete has stopped with the tool she needs to get that saddle tightened. And when you're in a hurry, things never seem to work out, do they? But at last, the troublesome bolt is tight.
Thank you.
And at last too, she smiles again. Belinda has seen her position drop from first to seventh, and almost 19 minutes now behind the leader as she restarts. Not losing any time, Eduardo STURLA and GALINDEZ. They dash for the dismount line. And they're followed by the British rider Spencer Smith. Eduardo STURLA left the water over 3 minutes behind and then put down a very impressive 4 hours 37-minute bike time to take the lead. And GALINDEZ has been right behind him the entire way, and they're still together. While Spencer lost that lead, but it's a new race now, and Spencer loves to run. With such a tight race, it's seconds that count. And there is only 14 separating the three of them. Lothar leader, a good cyclist, has been riding hard all day. And so too has the South African RAYNARD TISSINK, as they now make their way to the bike-to-run transition. Today's pride of Argentina, EDUARDO STURLA, is first out of the transition, but he's got some hungry runners right behind. The first is Oscar GALINDEZ. He's second behind and running fast out of transition. While Spencer Smith is next, but he appears a little more reserved as he makes his turn onto the run course. Lothar and RAYNARD know the urgency now and are very quick off their bikes. The men's standings after the bike have EDUARDO STURLA with a slight lead over Brazilian Oscar GALINDEZ and Brit Spencer Smith, while Lothar leader and RAYNARD TISSINK are tight in the 4th and 5th positions. Oscar has shot up to the lead very quickly, but EDUARDO doesn't appear to want to give up so easily. Spencer has found his running legs and is working on regaining the lead he'd lost on the bike. While RAYNARD TISSINK and Lothar leader, 4.5 minutes back, are just getting onto the run course. The 2002 Ironman Brazil is brought to you by Hawaii, the islands of Aloha. The women's leader, the German KATJA, is making her way now towards the final transition area. Carmenza Morales has been leading the way for Nicole leader through most of the bike ride. While Fernanda Keller seems to be planning her attack, and that will have to count on the run. Just over 3 minutes behind KATJA, Carmenza and Nicole are making their way now towards the same transition. On the men's front, it's just about a three-way tie. EDUARDO STURLA has kept pace with Oscar GALINDEZ, while Spencer Smith now joins in on the parade. But Smith, it appears, prefers to lead the pack, so he goes into first. Just. South African RAYNARD TISSINK and German Lothar leader have been riding well and are now looking strong at the early part of the run. Just over 6 hours and a quarter into the race, and KATJA gets off her bike and begins to cruise through transition. She's posted a 5 hours, 16-minute bike ride. Spencer Smith has widened his lead all of a sudden over Oscar and EDUARDO. Back at the transition, KATJA is heading out onto the run course. As she does that, Carmenza Morales and Nicole leader are heading into it. they have approximately 3 minutes to make up on the leader as Fernanda Keller arrives just behind them and appears to be conserving her energy for the big attack on the run. So after the bike, the women's positions are tight, with KATJA holding a slight lead over Carmenza Morales and Nicole leader. Fernanda Keller has some catching up to do, almost 7 minutes back on the lead, while Paula Salazar props up the top 5. KATJA's strongest leg is now over, but she claims that her run has improved. It will have to be one of KATJA's finest if she is to keep Nicole leader at bay, who's just only 3 minutes back. And Carmenza also appears ready now to hang with Nicole. On a good day, Fernanda has the capability of running them down, but she must find a rhythm, and a little local support won't hurt either. The Brazilian Fernanda Keller is 7 minutes and 16 seconds behind, but she knows this race well. Among the men, Spencer Smith's legs are looking heavy. EDUARDO STURLA has the same problem too. While Oscar GALINDEZ seems to fidget, but he looks okay. Running alongside RAYNARD TISSINK, Lothar leader in the yellow appears to be enjoying himself out there. The same cannot be said of KATJA. Her struggles are starting to reveal themselves as her pace has slowed over the first 6 miles of the run. Meanwhile, Carmenza and Nicole have found their strides and are now just seconds behind her. But for Spencer Smith, well, he knows what it takes to be a champion. He's striding fourth. That poses the question, does EDUARDO STURLA have what it takes to retain his title? RAYNARD and Lothar are still going strong, while Oscar GALINDEZ, his hopes of climbing to a top 3 finish, they're beginning to fade. Welcome back to Florianópolis. For Greg Welch, this is Phil Liggett, as we now conclude the 2002 Ironman Brazil. Nicole leader and Carmenza Morales have briskly passed by KATJA of Germany to share first place, and now they run side by side and wait to see who wears down who first. At one time, KATJA had held more than a 7-minute lead over Fernanda Keller, but 7 minutes can disappear quickly over a 140.6-mile course. Now Fernanda must find something special to move further up in her position. Still holding first in the men, Spencer tells us what drives him during the hard times.
Once you've had the sensation of victory, you always want more. So you never have enough for victory. You always want to keep going. But for me, obviously, in my career, the one thing that I really miss is obviously a Hawaii win. And this is a great preparation and a great stepping stone to getting that goal. And that's the thing for me anyway.
Well, he's showing he's worthy of being seen as a top contender for the World Championship in Hawaii this fall. Eduardo STURLA tested Spencer on the bike, but now the run is testing Eduardo. Lothar knows he has more gas in the tank and now decides to use it, while his wife Nicole battles to take the lead over Carmenza Morales. Fernanda has made her last-ditch effort and appears destined now to place in a most familiar spot, third. KATJA now struggling, tries to hang on to a top 5 placing. Feeling the pressure from STURLA, Spencer Smith switches on his reserve tank and picks up the pace with just 3 miles to go. He needn't worry. Lothar leader passes Eduardo STURLA and wonders if he has a slight chance to catch Spencer. South African TISSINK is struggling now through the marathon as the miles begin to bite. Spencer Smith impressively reaches the finishing line in a time of 8 hours, 15 minutes and 39 seconds. And for the British athlete, he collects his second Ironman victory in a year. It is a moment to be savoured, but only winners know. Just 59 seconds behind is Lothar leader, crossing with an impressive time of 8 hours, 16 minutes and 38. Had he attacked a little earlier, he may have been crowned the champion. And last year's champion, Eduardo STURLA, he finishes in third by going 8, 18 and 19 seconds to round out a great finish between the top 3 men. And now Greg Welsh speaks with Spencer after his win.
Spencer, a great swim today set up a fantastic race for you.
That's right. I mean, the swim is, important, and, I had a good lap on the first lap of the bike. I felt strong, and, okay, Eduardo and Goska caught me at the end of the first lap, so I was content just to sit in and conserve and wait for the run.
So Spencer won, while Lothar leader of Germany finished behind him by 59 seconds. Eduardo STURLA made a strong attempt to defend his title. He finished third. In fourth place, the South African TISSINK, and in fifth, GALINDEZ of Brazil. Pulling away from Colombian Carmenza Morales, Nicole leader takes the victory. Hiding behind the finishing line, her husband. A very emotional moment, and with her now is Greg Welsh.
Well, Nicole, leader, you came from behind on the bike ride, but you came through to win at least.
Yeah, I wasn't too far behind on the bike. It was only 3 minutes, but I had all the time I had the Colombian girl with me. We did the whole race together. I think we even swam together, and it was just a tough mental thing in the run. And I was hoping to win it, but she was running so strong. I'm just happy to get away from her.
And get away from her she did, but not by very much. Carmenza finished second in 9 hours, 27 minutes and 15 seconds. And Brazilian hope Fernanda Keller held on to take third with a time of 9:37.29. And then she thanked her many fans for the support. So to the result, Nicole leader getting the victory narrowly over Carmenza Morales and Fernanda Keller. What happened to Belinda Halloran? She finished 7th with a time of 10 hours, 11 minutes and 6 seconds. She really was a true Ironman today. I hope you've enjoyed the coverage. For Greg Welsh, I'm Phil Liggett saying, see you next time.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.